Yo, what's going on YouTube? My name's Troy, also known as SoFlo, and in today's video, I'm going to be showing you everything you need to know about successfully botting and securing limited items with Refract. I'm going to start this video off by going over some general information about Refract, and then I'm going to be going over the entire bot down to every last detail. If you've ever seen one of my other tutorials, you know I like to go into as much depth as I possibly can, so I'm going to be sharing all of my knowledge with you today in this video. Please make sure to drop a like on this video if you got value from it. It really helps the channel out, and for anyone who doesn't know, I do run my own group where we provide one-on-one botting support, we provide alerts, information, and release guides for every upcoming profitable release, and we also have a fire community of like-minded individuals who are all on the same mission of making money and helping each other out. If you're interested, you can join completely free to come check everything out. It'll be that first link down in the description below, and I hope to see you there. With all that being said, let's get into it. So first things first, after you purchased Refract, you should have got an email just like the one showing on screen now. You just want to follow these instructions and create your account. Then you want to link your Discord to that account. And what that's going to do is it's automatically going to add you into the Refract Discord server where they're going to be posting information, updates, and provide some support for the bot. I just pulled up the guides directly from Refract's website, and we're going to be going over the absolute basics on here before we get into the bot itself. But if you're a little bit more advanced, I'll be leaving timestamps down below so you can skip ahead to whatever section you need help with. So the first tab we're going to be going over is going to be access and management. Everything with this bot is going to be managed on their dashboard, which is essentially the account you made when you first purchased the bot. When you're on the dashboard, you'll be able to see all of the previous items that you've already checked out with the bot. You'll be able to update your payment information. And when we come to settings on the top, this is where you should have already linked your Discord account. And then the next important tab on this screen is going to be the manage logins. You can only run the bot on one computer at a time. So let's say that your bot is currently opened up on computer A. And let's just say that you want to move it to a new computer we'll call computer B. So what you can do is you can click on manage right here, and then you can delete your session, and that'll basically close out of the bot on computer A, so you're able to open it up on the new device or the new computer that you want to be using it on. Besides for that, you can download the bot with this download tab right here, and then if we come back into the guide, you can see that they have a lot of instructions and a lot of written information on their different modules and how to set everything up. But to be honest, when you're first starting, I know that all of this can be super confusing, but don't worry, we're going to be covering all of it in detail. And now what we're going to do is we're going to hop over onto the bot and get started. So I just downloaded the bot from the dashboard. I typed in my login information for my Refract account. And now, as you can see, we have the bot fully open and ready to go. We're going to be going over each tab and every single thing in this bot, but I think the best place for us to start is going to be in the settings tab right here. And so we're just going to go over each one of these tabs and every single thing in it right now. The first section is going to be webhooks, and basically all a webhook is it just sends you a notification on Discord whenever you successfully check out an item with the bot. I'm going to quickly show you how to set one of these up. It's only going to take a couple seconds. Once you're on your Discord account, you want to scroll to the bottom of your server list and click on this plus icon. You're then going to click create my own. You're then going to click for me and my friends, and you can just name this whatever you want. You can upload a profile picture, and then you're just going to hit create. Now all you're going to want to do is come to this text channel that's already made. You can make a new one if you want, but you don't need to. Click on this little edit channel icon. You're going to go to integrations. You're going to go to create webhook, and then you're going to click on it. You can name it anything you want. You can put a profile picture, and then you're just going to click copy webhook URL. Then you're going to come back into Refract, and you're just going to paste that right here. And then you're going to click on save for both. And then what we're going to do is we can just test it by clicking that. As you could see, the message from Refract for a fake successful checkout came in, and now we're good to go. The next section is going to be checkout sound. Pretty self-explanatory. When you check something out with the bot, it's going to make a sound. You can import your own, or you can just use the one that they already have set up for you. For app data, this is going to be used if you want to transfer over your Refract to another device, and this is basically going to create a complete backup of the bot. So when you click export, it will save all of your settings and everything you have within the bot to a file on your computer. Then let's say you transfer over the bot to a new computer and you don't want to have to set everything up completely from scratch again. You simply email this file you just downloaded to yourself, you download it on the new computer, and then you can import it directly into the bot so you'll be exactly where you left off. The next tab is going to be the Amazon Freebies tab, and this is only going to be applicable if you are running the Amazon Freebies module within Refract. I'm going to be creating a separate video for each individual module like Amazon, Best Buy, Target, and Walmart, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss those in the future. All this setting basically does is it blacklists certain keywords or certain SKUs on Amazon if you don't want to check them out when you're running Amazon Freebies. The next tab over is going to be the CAPTCHA harvesters. So a CAPTCHA is the thing that you sometimes see on websites where they'll have you click on the fire hydrants or the person riding the bike or the car, and it's basically just a security measure that some websites use to make sure that you're not a bot. As of the time of recording this video, there aren't a ton of websites that use CAPTCHAs, so you're really not going to have a major use for this section. But basically, if you ever did need to use this, I would recommend just keeping an eye out in the Refract Discord server in case there's a new website or they make an update and they tell you that you now have to use these CAPTCHA harvesters. All you're going to do is click on add, and then what these are right here is these are all basically third-party CAPTCHA solvers that are going to automatically solve these CAPTCHAs for you. So you're not going to have to sit there clicking on the website on the fire hydrants. And so how these work is they're super cheap. You usually just have to upload a couple dollars into these websites. They'll give you a login and an API key so it can connect to the bot. Might sound a little bit confusing, but it's honestly super easy. Like I said, as of right now, you really aren't going to be needing to use the CAPTCHA harvesters for pretty much any of the main websites, so you can kind of just ignore this section for now. The next tab to the right is going to be IMAP logins. This part is going to get a little bit technical, but just bear with me, and by the end of it, you should have a pretty good understanding. So when you're logging in or when you're checking out an item on a website like Best Buy, they'll usually send you a verification code to your email, and you'll basically just have to copy that code from your email and paste it into Best Buy's verification on their website so you're able to successfully log in or check out whatever item you're going for. It's pretty much the same thing as two-factor authentication where they send you a code and then you have to type it into the website. Now what IMAP does is that it allows Refract to have access to your email, so whenever a website sends one of these verification codes to your email, Refract is automatically going to go into your email, look for that code, automatically copy it, and then paste it into the bot so you can successfully log in or most of the times check out the item very, very quickly. Long story short, Refract is going to have access to your email. They're going to be constantly scanning for these verification codes and then automatically putting them into the bot whenever it's required. So this is super, super important to set up. And as you could see, I pulled up the IMAP guide on Refract's website, and they have instructions within their guide on how to set this up step by step. But there's honestly some tips and tricks for how to do this in the most effective way possible. I'm not gonna have time to get into it within this video, so I'm gonna be creating a completely separate video on IMAP. It'll be linked down in the description below. Once again, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. If you just want to get it done so you at least have something set up, then I recommend following the instructions within their guide. And then you're going to come onto here on IMAP logins. You're going to click on create. For server, I highly recommend using Gmail. Quick tip, just because the other ones can sometimes be delayed. For your username, you're going to want to type in your Gmail username, the actual email address. And then for password, you don't want to type in the password on your email address. You want to type in the app password, which if you follow the instructions on Refract's guide, you'll know how to get that. The next section is 2FA codes. This is somewhat similar to IMAP, in which some websites will just be sending you these verification codes when logging into your accounts or checking out an item. You can click on the open window button if you're expecting a 2FA code, but Refract should also automatically open this whenever a code is sent to you, so you really shouldn't have to be touching this setting much either. So we officially went through the entire settings tab. Hopefully that was pretty good and you're starting to understand everything a little bit better now, but let's keep going. The next category at the top is going to be tasks, and we're going to be saving these towards a little bit later in the video because in order to set up your tasks properly, you're going to need to set up something called profiles, and you're also going to need to set up something called proxies. And if you have no idea what either of those things mean, Don't worry, we're about to cover them right now. What I'm gonna do is give a high-level overview of how tasks work and kind of how the bot works in general, and I think that will be super helpful in understanding the entire process. And then what we're gonna do is dive in and go through all of the details one by one. So the easiest way to think about a task is it's essentially just like a Chrome browser. So when you run one task on your bot, it's basically like you're just opening up a normal Chrome browser on your computer, going onto a website and just trying to check out any kind of product like you normally would be doing. But then if we're running 10 tasks on our bot, it's the equivalent to us having 10 Chrome browsers opened up all at the same time, going onto the website and simultaneously trying to check out whatever that product is that we're going for. Obviously, it's pretty impossible to be controlling 10 different browsers at the same time by yourself, and that's why we buy these bots in the first place. Your bot is basically going to be running mass browsers onto the website, and they're all simultaneously going to be trying to check out whatever product that you instructed it to check out. The next thing to keep in mind is that when you're running for limited edition drops on a website, they do not like when they see one person checking out 10 of the same items. And most of the times what they'll do is they'll have a limit of one per person. And if they see you checking out a bunch of them, they're most likely just going to cancel your orders. This is where something called profiles come into play. So for every task you're running onto a website, or for every Chrome browser you're running onto a website with your bot, what you're gonna do is you're gonna assign each of those Chrome browsers or each of those tasks something called a profile. And a profile is gonna have all of your billing, shipping, and cart information on it. So when your tasks are trying to check out the same product multiple times on the same website, they're all going to be using unique billing and shipping information, so the website can't detect that you're the same person just trying to check out multiple of the same product. This is going to give you a much lower chance of getting your orders canceled, and hopefully this is starting to make sense. If it's not clicking just yet, don't worry. We're about to head into the Profiles tab, and I'm going to be going over exactly how it works. So for the rest of this video, we're going to be pretending like we're setting up the bot to run for a drop that's going to be happening on Best Buy, but just keep in mind this overall process of setting up your bot and setting up your profiles and your proxies and your tasks, it's all pretty much similar for every website that you're going to be running for. So now we're going to want to come over to the Profiles tab, and what I like to do is I like to have a different profile group for each website that I'm going to be having profiles for. So we're going to click on the plus icon for create. Like I said, we're just going to be using Best Buy as an example. So we're going to type in Best Buy. We're going to click on whatever color you want to add for it. And then we're going to click on create group. And so now if we X out of this and we can just hit back, you can see that this is the profile group that we just created. So if we click on that, and then we can click on this little plus sign to create our first profile. And so this is going to be asking you for your address, your card information, your email address. And so we're just going to fill all of that out real quick. So we're going to do profile 1, my email. Obviously, I'm just going to be doing fake information, test person, and then I'm just going to fill this out real quick. And once our shipping information is filled out, we're going to go to billing. And then for me personally, I always like to leave this as same as shipping because my profiles, in most cases, the billing and the shipping is the same. If you do have a different billing and shipping, then this is where you would just uncheck this and then you would fill out your billing information separately. I'm going to leave it checked and then I'm going to click create. And now if we X out of this, you can see this is our first profile that we created. So for example, when we're going to be running our bot onto a website with a Chrome browser, now for that specific task or that specific browser, if we assign profile 1 to it, it is now going to be using this information when checking out the product on that website. So now we're going to create another profile, and remember that the best practice for profiles in most cases is using all unique information so we don't get our orders canceled. Because if we're using the same name, the same address, the same email, and the same card for every single order, it's very obvious to the website that we're the same person. So we need to be changing these things up, and best case scenario or best practice is to have all unique information. If you're worried because you don't have a ton of card numbers or you only have one address you can ship things to, don't worry, because for the address, you can basically do something called jigging your address, which is a way to use one address and make it look unique, but it still ships without a problem. I'm going to be making a video on that Once again, it'll be linked down in the description below. And then for card numbers, there's something called VCCs or virtual card numbers. Once again, a video for that will also be down in the description below. The next tab we're going to be going over is going to be accounts. And for most major websites, they're going to require you to be logged into an account when checking out a limited edition item on their website. As a quick note, I highly recommend using the same email for both the account and in your profiles so that the bot can easily match them up when you're creating tasks. So basically, whatever email you use when creating your account for this website, you want to be using that same email in the profile. So in the accounts tab, we're going to do a similar thing as we just did in the profiles, and we're going to be creating an account group. Once again, we're using BestBuy as the example. So we're just going to click on create group right here. We can click X. We can see that we just created this. Also, if you right click, you can edit the color, you can delete it, you can also edit the name. And if we double click or single click, it's going to bring us into the account groups. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to click on this plus icon right here. And as I said, we're using BestBuy for this example. So we're going to be inserting some BestBuy accounts. Login is going to be the email address that you created the account with. Password is obviously going to be the password for that account. And then you are able to select a proxy list. I personally don't like to use proxies when I'm logging into my accounts, and I'll just kind of show you what I do a little bit later in the actual task section. But for me personally, I like to leave that blank. And so I'm just going to be putting in some fake information right here. And then we're going to be clicking on add. Before we do that, if you have 10, 20, 30 accounts that you want to insert all at once, then you can do that right here by using the login, password, semicolon, proxy, if you obviously want to be using a login proxy. If not, then you should just be able to go like this, and then put in your password and then click on add, right? So you can do it that way. We can also do it here, and then it's just going to do the same thing. So if we wanted to delete one of these because it's a duplicate, we can just click on it, and then we can click on this button right here, and now that is deleted, and we officially have our first account set up for BestBuy in the bot. Also, as a quick reminder, if you need immediate help from our team, from some of the best botters in the entire world, I highly recommend that you join my group. It's completely free to come check us out. It'll be that first link down in the description below. The next tab we're going to be going over is going to be proxies. And if you have no idea what a proxy is or how they work, I have a complete tutorial on this, and I'll be linking it down in the description below. And if you do already know what proxies are and you are looking for very good recommendations on which ones to use, we are always posting the best ones that myself and our entire team are using within our group. So assuming you know what proxies are, or you're about to go watch my video, if you don't, you're going to click on create, and then you're just going to type in a proxy list. And then once you have your proxies, you're simply just going to copy and paste them right into the bot. You can pick a color once again that you want to be using, and we're just going to do this for testing purposes. And we are going to be creating our proxy list, and you'll see them all pop up right here. So now we have officially put together all the pieces of the puzzle that we're going to need to start setting up our tasks and start being able to actually run the bot and go for the items that we want to be buying. So we're going to be continuing with the BestBuy example. So we're going to create a new task group, and we're just going to name it BestBuy. And then we are going to select BestBuy US. And just overall best practice for creating task groups is you're typically going to want to create a new task group for every website or every product that you're running for that is going to be different from one another. So now we just created our first task group for BestBuy, and these are the first settings right here that we're going to be messing with. So let's say that the item we want to be going for on BestBuy's website is going to be this Destin Rivals booster box. All we're going to want to do is come over to the top of the URL, and we're going to take this SKU number at the very end of it. And then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to paste that into monitor input. And so this is how the bot is going to know which item you want to be going for. The monitor input is going to be the SKU number. If you want to be running multiple SKUs in this task group, then what you can do is you can click on multi-input, and then you can just paste them in, not like that, like that. For the purpose of this example, we're just going to be running one SKU. So we're going to turn this off. We're going to paste in the SKU that we just got directly from BestBuy's website. For proxy list, we're just going to select the test proxy group that we made a little bit earlier. And for monitor delay, what this is it's basically how often the bot is going to be refreshing a website waiting for a product to come back into stock. And so the monitor delay right now, and this is the default delay from Refract, it's set at 3,500. So that means when your task is running, every 3.5 seconds, Refract is automatically going to refresh and it's going to look at the website and wait to see essentially if the product came back in stock. And if the product did come back in stock, then it's automatically going to go and try to check that product out. If you run super low delays like 500, that means that the bot is going to be refreshing the website every half a second, and that is a super easy way to get your proxies banned very quickly, so I wouldn't recommend dropping them down super low in the majority of cases. Just for some reference, the word monitoring here basically just means that the bot is going to be continuously checking the website and monitoring it for the product that you're going to be running for. In most cases, you want to leave the skip monitoring button turned off. And the only time you would really want to be using this is if for whatever reason a product went live on a website and for some reason the bot didn't end up detecting it or didn't end up picking it up, then you would basically just click this button, but it usually doesn't happen. More than likely, you're not going to have to touch this button too much. Auto start on restart just means if you close out of the bot and open it back up, your tasks will automatically start back up and you won't have to manually do them. Loop checkouts means that after the bot successfully checks out a product, it'll basically restart on its own and try to check out that same product again on that same task. On some websites, this does come in handy, but for most websites, they're only going to let you check out one product per task per profile. So in most cases, except for maybe like Walmart, you would want to leave this turned off. And then we have our statistics and we also have scheduling. Scheduling would come in handy if you know a drop is happening in, let's say, an hour from now, but you're not going to be able to actually be on your computer and physically start the bot. So what you can do is you can schedule your tasks to start 10 minutes before the release time, and then you can schedule them to stop, let's just say 30 minutes later. So the bot will essentially run for you even if you're not at your computer. You can start it automatically and you can also stop it automatically too. So that was the overall task group info. And now what we're going to do is we're actually going to go and create the individual tasks themselves. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this plus icon at the top. And as you can see, this is where we're going to be selecting our profiles and our proxy lists. So we're going to select you can select a profile group, which I prefer to do, or you can select an individual profile. So I'm going to go and I'm going to select the entire group that we just made. And then we're going to select the proxy list that we made. And then here's that button. If you remember a little bit earlier, I said it's highly recommended to use the same email that you created your account with on the profile too. So I always like to do that. And so I'm going to click match account to profiles. And then the rest of the settings here are going to be for BestBuy in specific. And like I said, I'll be making a complete tutorial for BestBuy, but max queue time 10, that's fine. No pre-login, no use account proxy. For the purpose of this video, we're just going to leave it like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to create one task. And so now you can see that we have officially created our task. And then if we wanted to start this and then automatically log into the account that we just made, we would click start. You can click stop. You can edit the tasks if you want to change any of the info here. And now you are pretty much all set up and ready to start running your bot. Make sure you guys drop a like on this video if it helped you out. That's pretty much going to wrap everything up. And please make sure to subscribe to the channel because I have a bunch of fire more tutorials coming your guys' way. Thank you so much for watching. And on that note, I will catch you all on the next one.